Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to another Essex County Cricket Club Members Forum. And I'm pleased to say tonight on the panel we have Chairman John Faragher, Deputy Chairman Peter Northfield, and Treasurer Ian Patterson. So without further ado, I think let's kick off with a question to Chairman John Faragher. John, good evening.
Yeah, hi, good evening everybody, and welcome to our December forum. I hope that this year has been one that has been particularly difficult for everybody, but at least we now have some good news around us. We've got a vaccine and the first jabs are going out today. I'm prepared to put myself forward. If they want to jab someone else, I'll have one today. I can't wait to get myself done. I'll have one in both arms just to make sure I'm pretty well covered. But anyway, so getting on to tonight, and one of the first questions we've had put to us, are you going to read that out, Mike? Or?
John, can I just hold you there? Thanks for the intro. Yeah, I'll kick off with the questions, yeah.
Oh, right, okay. Sorry about that.
Our chairman is obviously well used to the format of these virtual sessions, but so we'll start off on the subject of the fixtures for next season, John.
Okay.
So we've got a number of people, Mike Stringer, Keith Welch. When do we expect to hear about the fixtures for 2021? And Jeffrey Wood has also asked for confirmation of the competition structures for 2021.
Okay, right. So first of all, then the fixtures. First of all, apologies really that the ECB haven't released the fixtures yet. The reason for that is that they're still awaiting final confirmation of the international agenda for next season. And there's a host of problems that have been caused by the rearrangement of certain fixtures. One or two sides have had concerns about playing. And so right now, from a conversation I had with the ECB this morning, Alan Fordham is saying that we're probably likely to see the first run of the fixtures for the first half of the season is likely to be January, early January. There is a slight chance that we may get something at the back end of this month, but to be perfectly honest and open with you, I don't think we'll see that, and we should be looking sometime during January before we see. But as I say, it will be for the first half of the season, and what's happening is that because they can't decide, or that a decision hasn't been made on which venues are going to be used for the test matches in which order. It doesn't allow them to complete, obviously, the fixtures for those first-class counties that are involved. So if you're looking at Lords and the Oval, they're unable to sort of confirm the fixtures going forward. So at the moment, we're in anybody's guess as who's going. We won't even know whether the games are going to be home or away. Nothing will be known until we get that first run of the fixtures. And so I'm sorry, but the earliest is going to be probably January. So that's the answer on that one. I hope that covers it. It's not the answer we all wanted to hear. I mean, even down to the smallest details of diaries and things like that. We've not been able to do diaries this year because we haven't been able to put fixtures in, which is a great shame. So apologies for that as well. And the other question there, Mike, was on the format for next year.
Yeah, just Jeffrey Wood wanted the confirmation of the format of
we're going to use the conference system that you will have all seen and read about now. The reason that we've gone for that system is because there was so much uncertainty in terms of what the coronavirus would do to us next year. It was decided that we would follow a similar format for this year, but it will be played as a county championship, but in the three groups that have been announced. And then we go through, we play the first 9 games and then the top 2 I don't think I'll go into explaining how it all works, but we will go through, play the conference system through next year, but it will result in champions will become county champions next year. And the Bob Willis Trophy will be played again at the end of the season, but it will be played between the winning county and the runner-up. So it's the winning county and the runner-up will play another one-off game for the Bob Willis Trophy. We then have the 50-over competition that will run in parallel with the 100. Everything's in plan for the 100 competition to kick off. There's going to be a final draft for the 100 which is going to take place sometime during mid-January, I think it is, because there are a number of places still up for grabs in various of the various franchise groups. That will take place during, say, around about mid-January. And the T20, it's all on target. It starts in July. We aim to have a full T20 program. So that's going to be scheduled in okay. So everything going well. We will get a full season of cricket played. And I guess that'll lead on to some other questions, possibly about the crowds and what we're doing on that score. We'll come to that a bit later on. But so the plan is where you get a full season of domestic and international cricket and the 100 competition. So, and that's the way we're planning it. You know, that's what we're all working towards now. There is a confidence level that has obviously come about since the vaccination program has been launched. So that is all good news. But there are some hurdles to overcome before we can get into that. And perhaps I'll probably address that if there's some other questions, or I'll finish off by telling you what's happening on that later on. So that's the fixture problem, but we will get them out and we will have some cricket.
Okay, John, thanks. So I've had one pertinent question to ask now, actually, from Piyush Samaya, which is with a few international teams visiting next year, will Essex be getting a pre-test warm-up game being county champions?
Don't know is the answer. The honest answer to that is right now, don't know. We would like to think, as always, that we've got a chance, but I think an awful lot will depend, I think, in terms of what the situation really is in distancing. You know, we know we have a problem at Chelmsford because we are such a compact ground that social distancing it can be difficult to manage. And so there are plans in place. We're looking at all of that. But the answer to the cricket, are we going to get an international game, or the international touring side, are we going to get one of those games at Chelmsford? Don't honestly know at the moment. But we put in, obviously, we would like that. We're going to get some ladies cricket, that's been announced to us. So there will be some ladies tournament, subject to us obviously being able to meet all the requirements, and which we will be working to ensure that we do that.
Okay, thanks for that, John. Right, well, let's move on now to obviously something that many people would be asking about our members, all really about memberships and what's going to happen next year. So Peter Northfield, our Deputy Chairman, I'm going to put some questions to you now, and I think you might have got some props even with you tonight.
Thank you, Mike. Good evening, everybody. Lovely to be with you. Yeah, we have got some props. We're fingers crossed they're going to work. But basically, what we're doing for next year is we've already announced that the membership rate goes up by 10% based on 2020. However, for those renewing this year, there is a 10% reduction on that. So the headline is, for example, that the full price adult membership this year was £197. If you renew, that reduces to £177. But if it's a new application, that's £216.70. So, you know, that there is a significant discount for those that are renewing. We aim to get the membership renewal packs out in the middle of January. That will contain a small memento or a gift from the club to thank you for your support over the last year, which is very much appreciated. We will take, or the plan is that we'll take direct debits on the 22nd of February. So that gives you basically a month to decide whether you wish to continue with your membership. So here is the screen. I'm not going to read all these out. If whoever's working this can just work through, because I think this is all going on the website. So you should be able to see all the various prices coming up here.
Just one point, Pete, while that's going through, it did say on there that the direct debits would be the 26th of Feb, not the 26th of Feb.
Did I say 20? Yeah, 26th.
It's 26th of February.
Yeah. Now, we can just hold it there. This is the discounted prices for life membership, and what I would say, it's been we only announced this a couple of weeks ago with the mailing, and it's been extremely popular. We've actually sold 83 life memberships as a result of this package, which I think is a pretty amazing result, and that will keep going for another couple of months or so, and it's a very, very good deal. You know, it's a very cheap way of committing yourself to the club for life. As I say, all this information is going on the website. We will be mailing you all. We'll be telling you exactly when we're going to take your money. If it's a direct debit, giving you the opportunity to cancel that. We think that the 20% discount you're getting is extremely good value next year, and hopefully we will be having some cricket. And if push comes to shove, I would guess one of the issues might well be, of course, that it would be a members only entrance to the ground, which is something to bear in mind. So I hope I've covered everything there, Mike. We will pick up any follow-ups, I guess, that comes through on the chat function.
Yeah, I'm sure that there'll be some questions here. Just to say that we had a number of people, Mark Byfield, Mike Stringer, Carl Pendlebury, amongst others, were putting questions all about the membership. So we tried to sort of summarise that through Peter there. So let's move on now, and I'm sure there might be some other questions coming up, but let's now look at the subjects which Peter you touched on there, which was crowds and crowd arrangements for next year. And we've had all sorts of questions really. Janine Degan, Chris Ridgewell, Mark Byfield again. John, I'm just going to read out a few of these for you that for you to consider. If there are restrictions on crowd numbers for next season, how will tickets be allocated? If we're still in Tier 2 when the season begins, will we be using a ticketing ballot system similar to that used by some football teams? And are there any steps that the club can take to maximise the number of spectators being able to attend live cricket next season, e.g. adapting the concourse and access points? You know, I know there's a lot going on at the moment, so perhaps John, you could give us some idea of
yeah, I mean, clearly going into next season, I mean, this is still very much a grey area. I mean, we are confident that we will be able to get crowds of some quantity into the ground next season, and we are working extremely hard behind the scenes with the ECB, with the medical teams. And the appropriate health and safety groups to ensure that whatever we do, make sure that we maintain health and safety lines. So how we will go about this, we really don't know at the moment, because you know, it's changing every day in terms of how many people will be allowed into stadium. We have no idea at this point in time what the numbers will be. So rest assured, we are trying to maximise the numbers we can get in here, but we are working, as I say, with the relevant groups. As I said earlier, the problem with Chelmsford is it is a tight ground, and we can't get away from that fact. And so, in terms of making sure with our social distancing, there are a number of key points that we have to take into account. There is obviously the health and safety of the spectators, but we have to also respect the players and ensuring that keeping the social distancing between players and spectators is difficult. And under normal circumstances, we all know that people are able to roam around in the pavilion area. There's quite a close contact and communication with the players. And that's one of the great things about Essex. The fact is that you can actually communicate, and you see the players walking around and you can stop and talk to them. That will stop, as it did last year, behind closed doors. There's every chance that we might just enter the start of the season in a behind closed doors scenario. Now that's the worst case, but there is a possibility perhaps for the first month of April, we may still be in that while we try to sort ourselves out. But looking forward, we are optimistic that we will start to get crowds back into the ground, okay? The numbers, I don't know yet, and I say we're working on that. The process for that does become somewhat complicated because we have to be seen to be doing what's right for everybody and being as fair as possible. So we're looking at various options that we can use. The first thing is we will make sure that we will probably only allow members into the ground, okay? There won't be the opportunity for non-members to rock up to the ground and hopefully buy a ticket and come in, because we're going to have to make sure whatever happens that we allow our members back into the ground first. That's a given that we have to do that, and we will ensure that is the case. But in terms of the numbers and how we will actually go about that, that is work in progress, okay? And we could give you all ideas about, possibly having some form of a ballot system. We know how many members come on average to county games, etc. And we will try and develop, and we're thinking about it right now, developing a system that is fair for everybody. I don't have the magical answer to that right now, but we will have one. And we will come up with a system that we believe to be fair and honest for every one of our members who wants to come and see cricket at Chelmsford. And hopefully you all want to come, and it'll be our job to try and find a way that we can find a way that we satisfy everybody's needs. It'll probably be something like applying in advance for tickets, that sort of thing. But rather than give you sort of half a story right now, don't have that answer, but we will have it very shortly, and we're going to continue to work on that. So the next time we'll be having another forum, that's clear, and we will hold another one early in the new year again, and we will give you as much information as we've been able to prepare between now and that next forum. But the message coming out from this is that yes, we're going to work extremely hard to get as many people back into the ground as is physically possible, and we're allowed to do so. And it's to everybody's interest. We want the members to enjoy the cricket. We want our sponsors to get back and start enjoying cricket. But we do have to be aware that the COVID issue has not gone away. The fact that we have a vaccination program, which is excellent, but we've all seen the news over today and the last few days. The numbers are still high. And we have to be very aware that COVID has not suddenly disappeared. It is very much still with us, and we have to work accordingly. So that's a bit of a long way around to tell you that we are working on a system to get everybody in that we can to the ground. Okay, I think that covers the first bit, Mike. What was another part of that question? Sorry.
Well, I think you sort of, I think you sort of covered off. They're all really by how you've answered that has really covered off those three. There is another separate point that's been made actually by John Riches, which is that hopefully early next year, the older members of our society who constitute a large portion of our club will have access to COVID vaccine.
Yeah.
I understand that NHS vaccine certificates will be issued. As a club, will we be able to make a decision to allow members into the ground who have been vaccinated, even if the government don't go down that route? The ads and notes say, my 6 friends and myself very much missed watching live cricket Chelmsford this year, and this may be a way forward.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a very valid point. Clearly, if people have had the vaccination, it puts them in a position. However, what we would have to do, of course, is to balance that and be as fair as we can with everybody. And it's great news if you're able to have the vaccine and you know that you're clear, but it would be very wrong of me to sit here right now and say, well, everyone who's had the vaccine can come whatever. And that means that other people won't be allowed to come, even if we imply or if we actually make sure that the right processes are in place, for social distancing, etc. So I can't honestly sit here and say, if you've had a vaccination, you can definitely come to every game, because it does depend on the numbers that we can bring in. And we have to be as fair as possible so that everybody gets a chance to come. So I can't just say that vaccination, if you have a certificate, automatically you will be allowed in. But it will obviously help, and we're going to try and satisfy the needs and requirements of everybody that we can within the numbers that we're allowed to do. And we will be as fair as we possibly can so that everybody gets a chance to come and see some cricket.
Okay. Just as a rider to that as well, John, I mean, the government's made it very clear that vaccination is not compulsory.
True.
To try to turn people away, I'm sure human rights lawyers might well have something to say about that.
Yeah, and that's a good point. Yes, that's right. And so, it's a complicated process, and the answer to it is, look, we're going to be as fair as we possibly can. That your committee wants as many people as possible to come into the ground. We all want that, and we all want to be watching Essex have another blinding season. So, we will be doing our best to get you all there. But I can't tell you on the numbers at this precise moment. But we will not give up on this. We will get you in there if we possibly can.
Mark Wallace has made interesting observations saying, I'm under 50. If you had a certificate system in place, I won't be able to come. So,
Well, let's look at those kind of issues when we get nearer to the time, and we'll see what we actually have to do. I mean, there's so much uncertainty now. This is all just kicking off right away, and we're still waiting for a lot of guidance from the ECB and the ECB medical teams and the government. So we shouldn't jump to sort of conclusions that certain people will be allowed in and certain won't. Rest assured, we will do our best to make sure that every member gets ample opportunity to come in and watch cricket.
Right. Is Stephen Tockley has just come up with a question for us, saying, is there a case for using outgrounds which might be better for social distancing?
The problem with, sorry, I missed that. The problem with that is that if you start now trying to, the logistics of moving everything around at this stage and the problems that would give on a health and safety, just trying to set the whole place up would be just a logistical nightmare. And I think at the moment, that's not something that we've been able to consider, because we did give that some thought last year when we were in the total lockdown and we were playing behind closed doors, just to see if there would be if life would ever be any easier if we went to one of the outgrounds. And it really, to make that work, it's just a very expensive and a logistical nightmare. So that has been.
Yeah, and I think the other thing, John, is that you have to have fixed seating.
Yeah, that's right.
Seating to ensure you got the distancing.
Yeah. So it's the outground idea in terms of size, yes, but as Peter very rightly said, you have to have fixed seating for people so you can actually control the social distancing. So it's really, if you start trying to put in fixed seating stands, you're into lots and lots of money before you've even seen a ball bowled. And, there would be not the biggest crowds there would. So it would be just an expensive and a very expensive overhead for the club. And it's, we just can't consider that at this stage.
Okay. Robert Gray has just a message with an interesting question, which I think you might be able to inform on. If, as expected, not all members will be able to attend live matches, will we still be able to watch streamed matches?
Will we be able to watch stream matches? What? Yeah, I mean, the plan is that we will be streaming games this year. That's quite right. I'm not certain how I answer that, Mike. I was
just thinking as well, aren't there some initiatives to really try and, even actually improve and enhance that as central initiatives going on?
Oh, yes. Sorry. Yes, there are. There's a very big plan to improve and upgrade, if you like, our streaming services. So the answer to that, and they should be in place, certainly for the start of the season. We've had some, it's no secret that we have, in terms of some of the central financing that we get from the ECB, there's an allowance that we get for improving certain amounts of facilities and making it a better customer experience, if you like, coming to the ground. And included in that is an improvement to sort of social media, so streaming, etc., comes into that. So we are looking to see, we've already got, and Mike's somewhat involved in this as well, in terms of what needs to be done to our technology processes here. I'm not the greatest technology expert around, Mike is, but what I can say is that there's a team of people going into upgrading the services that we provide at the moment. And we are confident that come the start of the season, we will be in a much better place than we have been ever before in terms of our streaming facilities.
Yeah, there's quite a lot of work going into the whole infrastructure at the moment. Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Okay. Well, look, I think actually I've got one other interesting question coming in. I think Keith Ginnor. A number of members I've spoken to feel the new county championship format could prove to be very successful, especially as groups would change each year if based on previous season's results. If that proves to be the case, do you foresee that this could become permanent rather than revert to the old two-division form?
Okay, I can answer that one. This was launched as a one-off for this coming season. We had it for last season when everybody was behind closed doors. It was agreed, as I say, to carry it over for one more year only. The plan is, as it stands right now, is to go back to the two-division system. For that to be changed, that would require 2/3 of the first-class counties to vote in favour of either staying with us or going to the new system. At the moment, It is the new system. It is the old two-tier, two-divisional system that is coming back in 2022. At the moment, we have not had any discussions to change that. Whether that changes after or during this coming season remains to be seen. But there is a strong support throughout county cricket to maintain the two divisions, and that was at one of our most recent chairman's meetings where this topic was discussed. But there was a clear majority in favour of the two divisions. So at this point in time, I don't see a change coming, and we should be going back as far as we are right now. We will go back to two divisions.
Right. Okay, right. Well, let's move on a bit now, and we've got our treasurer sitting there, Ian Patterson. I'm sure waiting to update you all of what's going on with the finance of the club. So we have a question from Mike Stringer. What is the state of the club's finances after this year? Ian, can you please, good evening, and can you enlighten us?
Yeah, thank you, Mike. Ladies and gentlemen, look, it's a massive understatement to say that we've not had the same level of control over our finances this year that we normally would have. And that's a dynamic that looks like it's going to run into 2021 as well. Having said that, the short answer to the question is what health is our finances. They're very robust. They've weathered this storm to date far better than we could have imagined and did imagine back in March, April, May, June. If I deal with the downside of the year, the most obvious downside, of course, is the lack of cricket. The amount of cricket that was played, all of it behind closed doors, the lack of our ability to have crowds in the ground, couldn't sell tickets, couldn't have the corporate hospitality, etc., 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 and all that income kind of disappeared. I guess there's a small silver lining to that black cloud, which is some of the costs associated with hosting games and staging games disappeared with it. But the net impact of that obviously was clearly very negative upon our performance. I would just like to point out at this juncture, and something I said a few months back on this forum, those clubs who have a big reliance upon non-match day revenue, we're not one of them. And previous to the virus, I would have said boo-hoo. We wanted to be a club that had a much larger non-match day revenue. But those clubs who have those facilities, they've struggled this year. They've struggled enormously because those facilities are dormant, and the cost of paying off the debt surrounding the building of those facilities, the cost to maintain those facilities, it's still there. So we by some degree of luck, we dodged quite a sizable bullet there. On the upside, and there's quite a number of upsides, the terrific support from us, the members, and our sponsors, our business partners, has really been very, very, very pleasing indeed. Has made a big contribution towards our financial performance this year, which I'll come back to in a minute. The ECB have stepped up to the plate on more than one level. They've been excellent this year. There was obviously a large amount of doubt around their own finances. You would have seen that in the press. The 100 competition didn't take place this year, and yet the funding for it still fed down to the clubs, and we were very grateful to be able to receive that. In addition, the ECB had a couple of maintenance grants that it was a maintenance grant it was due to give each county, and it actually did do that. Not only did it do it, it was £300,000 for each county, but we got 600. Each county got £600,000 in the end. So the ECB have been very, very, very helpful to the clubs. The government furlough scheme, we took full advantage of it. We used it as it should be used. We abided by all the rules, but there was a fairly sizable contribution from the government from there. Finally, our investment portfolio. Maybe investment portfolio is a bit of a misnomer. Frankly, it's just a place where we keep what we think was our cash reserve, our final cash reserve, our liquidity reserve. Took an initial hit, as you probably expect. I think sort of 10-15%. Down at one point in time, has subsequently rebounded to a point where I think it's roughly flat year on year. So, the stock market seemed to have had a very turbulent year, but they seem to be withholding it, withstanding this issue, notwithstanding the US election, notwithstanding US-China trade wars, notwithstanding Brexit, which of course is still not done. So there's still a couple of footnotes to be added to that story this year. All in all, the finances look as though we're going to probably just tip the year end in the black as opposed to the red. It won't be massive, it'll be marginal. If you'd asked me back in March, April, May, would that be a great outcome? I'd have taken that every day of the week. But I think I'd just like to mention a word of caution, which is 2021. We identified very early on that 2021 was going to be the real battleground. We really do need to get crowds back in the game. We need the vaccine to come through, and it looks like it is coming through clearly. We need the ECB to be in robust health, and by and large, I think they're weathering the storm fairly well too. So we're not out the woods yet by any means. Our cash position is still relatively strong. Our reserves, therefore, similarly are strong. We anticipate a very challenging year next year, but we feel much more confident now that there is a plan to get through it. We think the ECB finances are firming up. With your help and with the help of our continued help of our sponsors, I think we're going to be okay. Mike?
Good, thanks for that, Ian. Just a quick follow-up question from John Boltwood. Have we received all the money that was due to us from the land that we sold for the flats?
Yeah. Yes, we have.
That whole episode, John, is now completely finished. Okay, we have received every penny of the money that we were due to receive for that ground that we sold. That money has been cashed, banked, checks been cleared, etc., etc. That phase of our life is over. We have to now look forward to future ground redevelopment, which is coming back into focus as we clear the immediate rubble of 2020.
Great. Okay, thanks. I've just got one outstanding before we move on to the next subject, which is ground improvements. There is one question coming from Mark Byfield. I think, John, you might have alluded to this earlier, but perhaps you can be more specific. Is there any clarity on the potential fixtures for women's international cricket at Chelmsford that John can share with us?
Yes, there is. I mean, there is some clarity. I don't have that bit of paper in front of me, but there are plans, and I think it's 3 games to be played. And I apologise for not having that bit of information to hand. But that is the good news is, yes, there are plans to stage, and I think it's 3 ladies games at Chelmsford, subject to us meeting the necessary, obviously, the necessary safety and health, etc., those requirements. But that is there. We're working closely with the ECB. We have some experts who have come down who have joined us on a working group who are helping us to sort of reevaluate or evaluate the ground as to what we can do with increasing spectators in. So that work is going on. That's a very strong working group, and they will do all they can to maximise, the number of people we can get into the ground. And the answer is yes, there are plans to stage those ladies' games. And we can get you that information, actually. So, Mike, if you take the name and any contact details there, we can get that information out.
Okay, yeah, we'll do. We have a log of everything that's in terms of questions and the answers as well, so we can do that. Okay, let's move on. It's with you still, John, about ground improvements. Are there any more ground improvements planned before the start of the season? Yes, there are.
Okay. What actually started this week? First of all, we have the, anyone who knows the toilet facilities beneath the scoreboard down by the Rivergate entrance, that is undergoing a complete, I'll say refurbishment. It's all brand new. What's going to be, that area is going to be totally redeveloped, including brand new toilet facilities, fully modern, up-to-date, in and outdoors, facilities for people with ability concerns, new huts for the groundsman. All that whole area is being totally redeveloped. That work started on Monday of this week, so it is underway. So that will be ready for the start of the new season, and that will make a huge difference to that corner of the ground. So that's the first thing that's going. Now, there are another group of, if you like, topics or subjects that we're looking at. One is we're looking to put up, to improve the security of the ground. So we're looking to have new gates new security gates installed by the members' entrance into the ground, and also through the gate at the Hayes Close end by the groundsman's house. So they're going to have gates put up there. We're doing some internal repair works for the boxes and the Premier Suite, which have had problems there. We're doing some other work around on the stands round by just at the top end of the Tom Pearce stand. So these are things that have actually are underway in terms of what we're doing in the short term, to improve the ground. So we've had some facilities grants given to us by the ECB, which will help us on that. Even some work on the trees that overhang at the Felsted stand end, those trees that overhang the stands there, the branches are going to be removed. The whole of the roof in there will be shot blasted clean. So that's all in place as well. So yeah, there's some lots of little areas around the ground which have been targeted. Then on top of that, of course, is the money that we're investing for the new broadcasting system, improved broadcasting system around the ground, and the streaming facilities. So there's a lot of you could call it small work, but important work that needs to be done. The Rivergate entrance now, of course, you won't have seen it, but that has been completely reconfigured. So those people who come in and out of the Rivergate entrance will see a significant change there. Entry and exit from the ground is much improved. There's a ramp. The whole bit, is much more customer friendly, and you will find leaving the ground there is little or no pinch point as you walk through the tunnel at the Rivergate. You will enter staying on a path the same width that goes straight out into the park. There's no squeezing down as you all try and get up that path and out onto the new London Road. So there's a lot of work done. Of course, you'll see we finished off, all the lights are ready for us as well. So I think you'll see quite a noticeable difference when people come back into the ground in April this year.
Okay, great. And following on from that, some more questions from Mike Stringer. Is there an update on the major development in the ground, and have the club ever considered relocating to a new site in Chelmsford, the county ground?
Okay. Is there an update on the major development? There's no actual update to give you in terms of, there's nothing new other than to say that it is still now very much on our radar. This year, where we had plans to be working with the ECB to help us in if you like, a significant improvement to the facilities relating to the pavilion. The major scheme that we had of redeveloping the whole ground and making it this super stadium, if you like, with flats being built everywhere, that has gone. Okay, what we're looking at now on any development work that we do is going to be much more in line with keeping Essex as the county ground that we know. So in other words, but we recognise that substantial work needs to be done to the pavilion area, to the dressing rooms. There are requirements that we have to, and expectation levels that we have to satisfy with the ECB in terms of changing room facilities, shower facilities for the players. We know our dressing rooms are antiquated. They are not up to date in terms of what's required by elite sport professionals. But of course, all of that takes substantial funding. We did a very good presentation to the ECB. This was before we got ourselves into the mess of COVID, but the ECB now has received a presentation from us, which outlines the plans that we have to improve the pavilion, make that much more customer friendly, put an extension on the side, do some work around there between there and the Tom Pearce stand, but to really give the pavilion, etc., a major facelift. And that is the first part of a development that we want to do, but it is also much more in keeping with the county ground at Chelmsford. And then following that, we have been looking at what we need to do with the Premier Suite. Now, we've come up, our initial costings were pretty high, as you can expect, and we were talking around the sort of 8-9 million mark. That is a sort of a ballpark figure in terms of trying to do the work we want with regard to the pavilion, etc. We have had discussions with the ECB, and they were looking upon us with a bit of a semi-favourable torchlight to say, we understand we want to help Chelmsford become sort of, we have a plan that we want to be the best. Excuse me, sorry about this. Sorry about that. We have a plan that we want to become the best non-test match ground in the country. We're certainly the best non-test match playing side in the country, and we have, you know, cricket, we all know we're top draw, and we want to get our ground up to the very best level that we can. So our passion and desire to make those improvements has not gone away, but unfortunately this year has had a major impact on our finances and on available cash flows, not only with us, but with the ECB. So in terms of a major development, right now that is on hold, but has not gone away, because we recognise that we have to do that. And we're going to be forced into doing something, because we will not be meeting the laid down requirements going forward that have come out from the ECB. So there is work to be done, and we will have to find a way of doing it. But you know, our policy has always been to be very careful with the finances. And I think the way that our finance director and our treasurer there have looked after us, we've made sure, because if we hadn't have had a tight control on the finances, we wouldn't be sitting in the position we are right now. There's every chance we actually wouldn't be here. That's how serious it could have been if we'd got ourselves into uncontrollable debt. And so we've never done that. We won't get ourselves into debt that we're not able to finance. If ever the finance director and the treasurer allow us to borrow any money from any source, and if that was safe from the ECB, they would make sure that we only undertake these sort of loans if and when we know we can pay them back. We're not going to get into a position where we take on loans to survive. That is not going to happen. And if we ever do take out a loan, and I don't like loans, but I will be guided by the financial experts. And if it's needed one day and we can afford it, then we'll consider it, but only under those terms. So when the time is right, we will continue moving forward with the bigger sort of development plans that we have. But rest assured, we have to do it at some point, and we will do it. The one that you know, the original development that we all talk about was clearly was not right for Chelmsford, you know. And if we had taken that on, I think I've told people before, but we were looking to inherit somewhere around like a 5 million debt. Now, to us to take on a 5 million debt a few years ago would have been it would have been catastrophic. You know, we are a club that could not handle a 5 million debt under the current circumstances. So it's a good job we didn't. So the answer to your question is we're doing a lot of good work around the ground at the moment, and that will be seen when you come back to the ground in the springtime. The development that we need to do to the pavilion and elsewhere is still on the radar. We haven't got a start date or anything at the moment, but we've made it very clear with the ECB, they know what we want, they want to help us, but it's going to have to be when the financial time is right.
Okay, thanks for that, John. I think it's quite pertinent, the risk of embarrassing our treasurer now, but Felicia has made a comment saying, sounds as if Ian and his team have pulled a rabbit out of the hat. Thank you and well done.
Thank you, Mark. There was a hefty slug of luck involved there as well. Let's not kid ourselves.
No, but I think in fairness to that comment, which we do take on board and say thank you very much, because you know, we are a very careful club, and we're fortunate to have good financial advice from our treasurer and from our finance director. And as we've come through this, you know, I think as a club, to come through this season the way we have done is special. So yeah, but I think it's a thanks around to everybody who, you know, is working hard behind the scenes to get us into that position. So it's a big thank you, obviously, to the finance team, but I think to everybody involved here at the club.
Okay, right. Well, let's move on. We've got a couple of cricket-related questions, actually. One has just come in, which I'll put up first, actually, from Mark Byfield. Are we considering any additions to the playing squad for 2021, accepting that budgeting will be more difficult due to uncertainties with membership and gate revenues?
I can answer that one. Yeah, okay. Look, we actually had we've had a board meeting today and a cricket meeting today. At this stage, there are no additions to the squad. Everybody has signed up. The only person who left us, as we know, was young Patel, Rishi Patel. He's left us and gone to Gloucester. To Leicester. And good luck to him. You know, we wish him all the very best on that. But that's the only departure from the club, and I think Rishi, you know, he'll do well. But in terms of the squad, we've got the same squad here. We've kept everybody here. You've got to understand, this is a squad that is ambitious and excited about bringing more trophies to Chelmsford. You know, I think we've done a remarkable job in being able to keep everybody on board. We haven't had to release anybody, which is good. And we're proud of the fact that we can keep the squad. And so, yeah, we are very much in the hunt for trophies again next season. That's the squad under Anthony McGrath and Tom Wesley are very, very focused, that they know what they want to achieve. And more importantly, we believe in ourselves that we can do it. And that's half the battle, because we have become very much the side, you know, that has to be beaten. You know, we are the talk of the other counties, that they respect us. Some of them fear us because they know what's coming when Essex are there, and when Essex are playing to their form, and as we have done in recent months, we are a side that, you know, is difficult to beat. We never give up. We have that kind of passion and drive in us. You know, we never just rock over and give up. We always believe that we can pull something out, and we do. And so as far as this coming season is, I think it looks very good, and we should be, you know, sensibly confident without being over the top.
Okay, Janet Limerick has just asked, will there be second 11 cricket next year? Yes,
there will. The answer to that is yes, there will be. Those details are being finalised. They may well be available very shortly, but yes, there is a plan. I don't know the full details of how that second 11 competition is going to look, but yes, there will be second 11 cricket.
Okay, good. All right, there's a cricket question here. I'm not sure Ronnie would have been able to answer this, I'm sure. I'm not sure who else can. Which of the current bowlers has the fastest speed of delivery? That's from David Sharp.
Okay. I mean, I would think, if you wanted to know that, I would probably guess at saying the fastest out there would probably be, I don't know, Sam Cook and Jamie Porter, are quick. They're not lightning quick, we know that, but they are. It's very hard to say in terms of quick, because we don't always measure everything on pure speed. It's in terms of, you know, people who are seam bowlers. You've got Aaron Beard, who is very much a swing bowler, but Cook and Jamie Porter are very much seam bowlers. But waiting to come through, there is some real talent coming through, and that's the important bit. So who is the quickest on the staff? I don't know the answer to that. All I know is we're very lucky to have a very good pace attack and a young pace attack waiting to come through as well. So sorry, I can't give you who's the quickest.
Well, that's right, David. If you listen, I'll get that answer from Ronnie for you anyway. So.
Yeah, my money would be on Ports, actually.
Oh, mine would be on Cook.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's difficult, and when you see them bowling on the right wickets, they look unbelievably quick because they become unplayable. And someone who's unplayable looks very quick. So, but we'll find that out. I'd be interested to know who is the quickest. I've never actually asked that question, so we'll get that for you.
Good. Okay. Well, we're going to talk about batting, or we're going right very into the lower. Well, no, we passed the lower middle order. We're getting into the tail enders now. The questions. So I've got a question which I'm going to ask Peter to answer, actually. From David Sharp again. Why did Derrick Bowden depart so quickly without seemingly working a notice period? And when is it hoped that a replacement will be appointed?
Well, I mean, first thing, it's quite normal in business that people, if they are going, go straight away. I mean, that's just the way it is, isn't it? I think it was probably the right time for both parties. You know, we will be talking to the members about some subtle constitutional changes that we've got to make this year, and that will change the emphasis on the way the business is managed. You know, we felt it was probably, or I think Derrick probably felt that he could leave with an absolutely brilliant CV. I mean, if you look at it, you know, the 7 years he was there, just look at the trophies. If he wants to go into another sports administration role, boy, that is a pretty strong lineup you can put on your CV, isn't it? So, you know, I think it was probably right for both parties. The executive board didn't want to rush into getting a replacement because, as I say, there are these changes coming forward which will need it will need a consensus or the agreement of the membership for us to be able to put them in. We need to be very careful about the job spec for the replacement, and the executive board was unanimous in asking John to step up to executive chairman whilst we go through this process. I mean, hopefully we'll be able to start recruiting in the next few weeks, and you know that it may take a while to get the right candidate, but it's important we get the right person to take the club to the next level and beyond where we are now. And I don't think there's much more we can add to that, really, unless Ian's got a view on it.
Yeah, Peter, I just had one point. I think salient here is because of the COVID response, or the response we've had to COVID, which is, you know, I've lost count of the number of phone calls and meetings we've had, the hour upon hour upon hour we've spent as a group discussing what to do. I think what it did is it brought the executive, including chairman, much closer to the chief executive role anyway. We were all in the room on pretty much a daily basis, which made the transition from Derrick being there, Derrick not being there, much smoother. You know, we were all live to whatever conversations were going on a daily basis. So it was a more smooth transition, ironically, because of the situation we found ourselves in.
Okay, and it was actually Ian Grimsley who asked that, and Kevin Mansell also during the forum itself asked about that. So good. Okay, just a couple before moving on to the last preset questions. Paul Barber's asked, are there any plans for a Champion County versus MCC game pre-season?
Yes, there are no plans for that, because basically we didn't have, because there was no championship, there was no county champion this year. So that game, there was talk, would it be rearranged for Essex as the previous, you know, the 2019 champions to play a championship game? But that really didn't go anywhere, because it felt that you know, 2019 is gone, that's history. 2020, it was another season, and although we didn't have a champions, we didn't have a champion county as such this year, it would be wrong just to have played that tournament. So at the moment, there are no plans to hold. You wouldn't be able to hold it. I mean, one of the great things about with these games that they used to take overseas, when depending on who was the president of the MCC at the time. But if you remember, last year's one was going to be played in Sri Lanka with Sangakkara, who was president of the MCC. He was very keen to get you know, the MCC to play that game in Sri Lanka, and that was all set up. But unfortunately, it didn't happen. But I think it's good news, and they're very keen. And certainly in my last sort of discussion with them, the MCC are still very keen to have that. So, you know, going forward, they still will be looking to have that match, finances permitting, of course, but we'll be looking to stage that match in various places around the globe. It makes it harder for travelling for everybody, but in terms of taking it out to other cricketing nations, is a big plus factor. It was well received when the last one was, when we were there, which was played in the West Indies. That was well received, and you know, the West Indian Cricket Authorities, you know, that was a very big successful event for them, having the MCC playing the champion county. And at other times when they played it in other locations, it's been in Abu Dhabi, for example. It's good, and I think if the MCC want to do that and take the game around, that is good news for cricket. And so it's something for the champion county each year to look forward to, a chance to be playing an MCC side and put their, you know, that counties put their names in the frame to, you know, to be playing in other territories around the world. It's good news, and it's good for cricket. So I do hope they keep that going, because it is good for the game that we take that around. But at the moment, this year, there's no plans to have that game as such.
Okay, thanks very much, John. So Christmas event, Peter. This is another question from Mike Stringer, and it's his last one. I just thought I'd throw this one in there. He said he knows he's asked a lot, so apologies, but he's interested. and he's aware that he always gets full and frank answers to his questions. So I thought I'd throw that in for Mike. So he said, I'm guessing there is no club Christmas event this year. Is that correct?
You guessed correctly. Sadly, we can't get together for the members' Christmas lunch, which is always a splendid do, always sold out and always a great thing. You know, sadly, we can't do that. I believe there is some sort of virtual chip tree jam tasting event coming up. Whether that's open to all, I have no idea, and quite how you have a virtual jam tasting, I really can't imagine. And I know that there is a players event, which I think will be an open house sometime in January. But sadly, no Christmas events. There is one thing I should have mentioned earlier. We did promise that we were going to carry out a survey of all members. I think the last forum we said that we'd be doing that in November. We were all set to go, and it's my understanding that the ECB thought this is a really good idea, and I think they want to piggyback some questions in that as well. So you will be getting the survey. It will be open to you online, but perhaps slightly broader in its scope than we'd imagined. But so anyway, back to the Christmas event. Sorry there isn't, but I'd like to wish everyone a happy Christmas anyway.
Good. Okay. Well, actually, you mentioned that Tiptree Christmas event, which is open to the members from Thursday. I think they're having a little bit more than jam, from what I understand, Peter.
Ah.
I think there's some cocktail mixing going on, and there'll be a Q&A with, in fact, Jamie Porter and Sam Cook. So, so I can ask them on Thursday who's the fastest, and they probably have probably have a fight over that. But anyway, look, that's quite good, actually, almost exactly to time. We've had a number of people thanking, special messages from Bradley Starr, Lorna Piper, Mike Stringer for putting all his questions. And so that's all. I think I've had one more come in. Yeah, okay. Yeah, just happy Christmas from quite a few people. Stephen Tockley, Mark Byfield. So, John, have you got a final message from Chairman's message to the members?
Yes. Well, look, first of all, I would like to thank each and every one of our members for their amazing and continued support during this year. This year has been really tough, but we were very focused on making sure that we did everything to ensure that our club remains viable. And thanks to your support and the support of our sponsors, we've been able to do that. And I do thank every one of you for that, because you don't know, this is a club that we all love. We're all members of this club. We all want it to be successful. We want it to be financially secure. And at the moment, we're ticking those boxes. So, but without your dedicated support, this would not have happened. So thank you very much. And we hope sincerely that we are going to be able to bring you cricket. We will be bringing cricket of some sort. There's no doubt about that. And we are confident that we're going to be able to get certain numbers of you into the ground. We will certainly maximise that to the very best of our capability and what we're allowed to do. So we should look forward now. Hopefully we get a chance to enjoy our Christmas break. I think everybody deserves some sort of, if we can call it excitement or some enjoyment. I also appreciate and understand that this has been a horrific year for many people. Many people will have suffered through COVID directly or indirectly and know people who have suffered, and even where you have suffered bereavements, and our thoughts are with everybody who has gone through that awful time. Let's hope that we never see anything like this again. Hopefully next year we've got the vaccine coming, and that is a really good boost for everybody. And once that starts happening, I think we will start to feel the good feel factor will come back to what we're doing. Rest assured, your club here is very focused on taking the game forward. We're in it to win it. We want to win all of these competitions. There is no reduction in our ambitions, in our plans for the future. We're going to deliver. The squad is up for it. The staff are all very much right behind this. And we are lucky that we actually have a very united club. And when I talk and look around the counties to some of the other places, we are streaks ahead of the majority of other counties, not only in our playing and winning of things, but our our way that we interact with our employees, with our members, with our sponsors. There are very few counties as good as us. And the feedback I hear all the time is that, you know, Essex are really top of their game. And also in terms of what we do on the, don't forget what we do on the recreational front. You know, we are a top club. And the way we link in with the minor counties, with East London, you know, we are actually setting the bar that others are trying to reach. And we sit there top of the pile in how we run the recreational and domestic game in this country. So that's a big thank you to Dan Feast and all of his team, because they do an amazing job for us behind the scenes. They are in many ways the unsung heroes. Lots of things are going on. Without their effort, we wouldn't have club cricket going on, the cricket in the schools, etc. So we tick every box here at Essex, and we're going to continue to do that. And with your support through next year, we will come right through this epidemic. I said at the very beginning, you know, we will come through this, and we will get through this. Come this time next year, I've every confidence that we will be talking about an Essex side that has brought another trophy, a minimum of one more trophy to the, you know, to the cabinet. So let's go forward with that idea. Cricket is coming back to Chelmsford, and that's a message you can all take away. We'll have as many of you there as possible, but just that's the one message. We're all focused on it. Cricket is coming back to Chelmsford. So on that closing note, we would all the club would like to wish every one of you a very Merry Christmas, happy and safe, prosperous New Year. Keep clear of COVID-19. Do the very best you can, because the vaccine is coming. And if you're up for a vaccine, I hope you are. I certainly am. I'll be there. But do have it, because we want to get rid of this thing. We want to get back to normality and watch Essex bring in more trophies. So enjoy the holiday period. All the best for the new year. And let's have this forum. We'll have another one in January or February. We'll let you know, and we'll bring you some more good news. Thank you very much.